Hey, what's up guys? Today, I'll show you a horror thriller film, Underground. Spoiler ahead, watch out and take care. The movie begins in an abandoned military base. It's also used to house a research facility that specialized in creating weapons for the military. But something happened, and the military lost control. They're now sending a special forces unit to locate and eradicate the unknown subjects inside the facility. The unit, which is composed of several highly trained soldiers, barges its way into the base. The captain mentions that above ground, the creatures they are hunting are easy targets. But running amok in the underground complex, the creatures are at their most dangerous. Sure enough, not even a few minutes into the mission, the creatures appear and start attacking the soldiers one by one. They don't look like humans at all. They have glowing eyes, terrifying skin, and a blood-curdling shriek. One of the soldiers almost makes it above, but one of the creatures yanks him back to finish him off. 2 years later, the military base is still abandoned. The warehouse above ground is now the site of famous and illegal raves. On this particular night, the warehouse is packed with partygoers. The techno music from the DJ booth reverberates through the walls. A war veteran wearing a cowboy hat makes his way through the crowd. His name is Storm. Fresh from the front lines, Storm's senses are still on overdrive. So when a man comes up behind him, his instincts take over and chokes him. The man stammers that he's a friend of Matt, who was another soldier serving with Storm. Both of them had come to the rave to celebrate their return to the country, and Matt had invited his 3 childhood friends. The friends include Eric, the man Storm choked, and 2 no-named girls. After the introductions, Storm loosens up and invites the group to party and drink with him. Soon they finally see Matt, a good-looking blonde guy. With him as his girlfriend, a pretty doctor. Elsewhere in a deserted warehouse, the public hormone-seeking couple, Billy and his girlfriend, decide to explore a more secluded place. They enter through a heavy door and plan to play a hide-and-seek hormone game inside a dark room. Meanwhile, Storm gets into an altercation with a dangerous-looking group of thugs. Brash and short-tempered, Storm does not back away and takes on the thugs one by one. He demolishes them with his impressive combat skills. One of the thugs pulls out a switchblade and attacks Storm, but the soldier easily dodges and gets the thug into a chokehold. Matt intervenes and orders Storm to stand down. Storm suddenly remembers that he's no longer in a war zone, so he drops the blade and shows mercy to the thug, but the thugs do not take defeat well. The brawl is now about to turn into a full-scale riot, so Matt and the others decide to run away from the thugs. They sprint away and enter the same heavy door the couple did earlier. They shut the door behind them. Because they can't reach the people inside, the thugs lock the door to prevent them from escaping. The group realizes that Billy and his girlfriend are in the room too, but they ultimately realize that they can't do anything because the door is locked. They notice that the room they are in is actually a bunker, made with reinforced concrete and metal. There's several levels below ground. Matt explains that military bunkers usually have a generator, a control room, and a second exit. There are also vents that they can use to escape. Billy suggests that they find the generator, so he can charge his phone and call for help. But they're so deep underground, there's no cellular service anyway. Matt comes up with the idea to find the second exit. However, they would have to venture further into the large bunker. The 2 girls voice out that they're scared of going deeper into the underground, but they have no choice. They get nothing but dim flashlights from glow sticks and cell phones to guide their way in the inky darkness and make their way through the underground complex. In the first room, they find a light switch for a network of gas lamps. The group can now finally see better. They turn into another tunnel and hear some strange noises. The girls get scared and try to scurry in the other direction, but Matt scolds them and tells them to toughen up. He explains that the second exit is always positioned opposite the first one, so they still have a ways to go. Storm tries to ease the tension and assure the girls that the noises are just because the bunker is old. Billy's girlfriend is really scared, and she blames Billy for leading her to the bunker to hook up. They encounter a rickety set of stairs going down. The first half of the group safely climbs down. While the second half is stepping on the stairs, it begins to crash due to old age. They hasten and land on the floor below unscathed. However, they soon come to a dead end. Storm realizes that there's a narrow tunnel leading to the other side. He investigates it while holding a lighter. He suddenly recoils and claims that he saw something on the other side with glowing eyeballs. Matt sets him aside and berates him for scaring the others with his smelly nonsense. He then orders Storm to look at the tunnel again. This time, Storm approaches the tunnel with a flashlight. He waves it around and so far, nothing appears. But Jenny protests and tells the others that she will go inside the tunnel, so they decide to look for another side exit to be safe. Storm and Billy take a restroom break while the others explore the hallway. They hear something slinking through the vents above them, and Matt rationalizes it as just the water pressure. But they do see something strange. There's a pane of glass on the wall like an aquarium. Storm finishes peeing first and leaves the restroom. Billy is left behind, and he is so thirsty that he actually kneels down to drink water from the urinal. A creature breaks through the wall and slithers inside the restroom. It attacks Billy, causing him to scream loudly. Matt and Storm come to his rescue, dragging his wounded body outside the restroom. But the creature is already hidden. The two girls get freaked out. They run into the tunnels, hysterically screaming. The doctor tries her best to provide medical attention. The group still has no idea what happened to Billy. Storm catches up to one of the girls and calms her down. The two girls go back to the hallway where the others are. Billy is barely holding on, but for the moment he is still alive. The other girl theorizes that maybe the thugs had snuck inside the bunker to retaliate. The others are unconvinced, but they also can't wrap their minds around the attack. Matt, ever the responsible leader, comes up with another plan to find the exit. However, the same ghastly creature appears again and drops down from the pipes. Absolute chaos ensues as they scream and run. But the wounded Billy can't run away, and the creature drags him to the narrow opening on the wall. Matt and the other boys hold on to the other end of his body, playing a sick tug-of-war with the creature, until Billy's body snaps in half, leading to his death. Billy's death saddens his girlfriend, and the others are also rattled by what they saw. However, Matt is in denial that the creature who attacked them was not human. The two girls huddle in a corner. Behind them is the same pane of glass that they noticed earlier. The murky glass clears up, and the mottled face of an inhuman creature pops up. It doesn't appear to be breathing, just strangely preserved in the liquid inside the glass enclosure. The doctor steps closer to the glass to look at the creature. She remarks that it seems to be a crossbreed. The creature's eyes fly open, and it scratches at the glass pane. The group wisely starts running away. However, the creature somehow makes it out of the aquarium and slides down from the pipes. It grabs Billy's girlfriend and yanks her down the hallway, slicing her to ribbons in the process. The group continues to run until they reach the control room. They search through the lockers for any weapons they can use to defend themselves. Afterward, they continue to walk through the dark tunnels. One of the large pipes above them starts shaking, and the creature comes out of it again. It grabs the doctor and takes her. Matt attempts to climb the pipe, but the steep incline of it just makes him slide back down. The creatures take the doctor to another room, and they also chain her hands. Matt finally manages to follow them through the pipes. He gets to the doctor and breaks the chains with a hammer. They walk out of the room and see that there are hundreds of military dog tags hanging and piles of clothes and shoes on the floor. This signifies that the creatures living in the basement have been killing and probably eating the soldiers that were on the base. Matt searches through the dead soldiers' things and finds a camera. The last recording shows the mission 2 years ago, which resulted in all the Special Forces soldiers dead at the hands of the creatures. This leads Matt to the conclusion that the military had experimented on these creatures in the hopes of making new war weapons. But the creatures became too unpredictable later, and the military tried to wipe them out. Matt and his girlfriend crawl through the pipes to get to where Storm and the others are waiting. Another creature appears and scratches Storm. It takes one girl away and, together with the other creatures, rips her from limb to limb. Storm is badly injured, so Matt and Eric carry him as they continue their trek. He is rapidly weakening. The girl comments that they should just leave him behind, because he will just slow them down. But Matt will not leave anyone behind. The group takes a break, and Matt shares his theory with the others. The doctor adds that the creatures seem to be highly intelligent as well compared to animals. The group reaches a wide flooded room. They have to carefully cross over the panels to get to the other side. Eric is extremely thirsty and is tempted to drink the floodwaters. The doctor warns him that the waters are toxic, and the creatures could be lurking in the water. Sure enough, a mottled hand reaches out and drags Eric to the water. Its head pops out of the waves, with Eric's hand in its sharp-toothed mouth. It then disappears again. Matt bravely dives into the water to save Eric. He manages to grab Eric, but the creature pulls him into deeper water. Terrified and tired, what remains of the group sits on top of the panels. Storm shares that while they were in Iraq, he had shot children because he thought that they were enemy soldiers. Matt saves Storm, but was gravely injured in the process. The doctor treated him, and they fell in love. With renewed strength, Matt tells the group to gather their courage and move forward. They finally cross to the other side and enter another set of tunnels. They reach the control room and spread out to look for the generator. The doctor finds a large vial with a preserved fetus inside it. The girl switches on the generator and light floods through the room. They play a recording of the German scientist who spearheaded the military experiment. He explained that he created the creatures by mixing human DNA with amphibian DNA. They had kidnapped women and forced them to be human incubators for the creatures. The first generations were primitive looking. They were the tall and slender creatures that first appeared. The later generations had the skin of crocodiles and were much bigger. He also added that the creatures were conceptualized to be soldiers to replace humans on the battlefield. Matt concludes that this was all part of a black project, which means that the military will fight tooth and nail to cover it up. If they survive the bunker, they would have to keep quiet, so the military will not make them disappear. The doctor comes up with an idea to pool whatever laboratory chemicals they can find and trigger a fire to scare off the creatures. They barely had time to prepare before the creatures storm the control room. The group scatters into different directions. Storm takes on one of the creatures, and it injures him even more. One girl runs off, screaming into the tunnels. She wanders into a room, and to her surprise, she sees the old German scientist in a wheelchair. He shocks her with the cow prod. She begs him to help her, but the scientist is fully unhinged. She tries to barter with him and sacrifices the others in exchange for him to spare her. The scientist pretends that he agrees, but he leans closer and sprays her eyes with a harsh chemical, but fortunately not the legendary hormone spray. He uses a whistle to call the creatures to his location. One of them pushes her head and skewers her eyes with two protruding metal nails. The doctor reunites with her boyfriend in the tunnels. Eventually, they find Storm too. A door opens, and out comes the scientist. He is trailed by his creations. The scientist holds out his palm and shows them the girl's eyeballs. Matt creates a distraction by destroying the pipe above the door. It leaks pressurized air and temporarily prevents the creatures from chasing them. They run toward the stairs and use the chemicals they found to ward off the creatures with fire. Storm gets cornered by several of the creatures. He bravely fights them off, but ultimately they overwhelm him. One by one, they stab him with their sharp claws. The doctor finds her boyfriend unconscious on the floor. When he wakes up, Matt hallucinates that she's a monster and tries to fight her. Luckily, he realizes that it's really his girlfriend. They find Storm dying on the floor. His wounds are too serious, but Matt still wants to carry him. Storm is already at peace with his impending doom. He tells Matt that it's okay, and he thinks of his death as a just payment for the sins he had committed during the war. He is very grateful for Matt's love, and his one last request is that Matt kills him to end his misery. Heartbroken, Matt complies by stabbing Storm with his metal spear. Fortunately, one of the girl's parents knew that she was going to a rave at the military base. When she didn't get home, they called the police. An officer responds and goes to the base. Matt and his girlfriend run through the tunnels with the creatures at their heels. They finally find the second exit, but there's a mountain of skulls and bones waiting for them beyond the door. The doctor screams, and this catches the officer's attention. Above the pile of bones is a grate that leads to the surface. The officer opens the grate, and the couple climb up. However, the creatures grab the officer and drag her down the tunnel. She manages to shoot the creatures, but her body is already cut in half. Matt and his girlfriend run to the police car and make their escape. They recuperate from their injuries and promise that they will live their lives to the fullest, in honor of their friends who did not make it. The movie ends with Matt receiving a video message from Eric's phone. It shows Eric still alive and strapped to a hospital bed. The scientist approaches him with fire, and Eric shrieks, insinuating that the scientist is turning Eric into one of the creatures and updating his genetic experiments. This is Daniel CC Movie Channel. Stay safe and enjoy your day.